naming Fox News host Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense. I want to get right to Lieutenant Colonel Danny Davis. He served more than 21 years in the military, including four combat deployments. Lieutenant Colonel, we thank you for being here. We noted that Hegseth has served in Iraq and Afghanistan, and he does have 2 Bronze Stars. What is your reaction to the news? I understand you've been on his shows before on Fox News.
I have, yeah, several times actually. And listen, I mean, I think he's a good pick. He's definitely unconventional, which is kind of standard data for Trump, I guess, because no one saw this. He wasn't on anybody's radar. And I'm talking to a number of people who are on the Trump transition team, and he didn't hit any of those radars. So this kind of came out of left field. But look, you got to look at his policies and the things that he's talked about. And Trump wants somebody in there who's going to bring his America First agenda, that wants a strong military, but that also doesn't want to use the military and fighting any wars that are not necessary unless it's for our national defense. And I think that we can count on Hegseth to come in because he really understands veterans issues. He understands the value of human life, and he's not going to want to to move things in any direction that's that's neocon kind of thing, or get us into wars we don't need to fight.
So he's somebody who's obviously defended our country, right? And he's been awarded with 2 Bronze Stars, as we mentioned, along with other awards too in the military. Went to Harvard and Princeton, from what I understand here from reading this release here. But he's now going to manage this massive department, right? The Department of Defense. What does it take to run that department? Obviously, he knows warfare, he knows combat, but he's going to have to manage a massive staff along with all of our different branches of the military.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. That is a monumental task. I worked in the Pentagon almost 3 years, so I know firsthand what that's like and how huge the challenge is. And I feel confident that they're going to make sure that he gets probably a Deputy Secretary of Defense who does have lots of time in the building, as they say, and that does have experience with that. I'm very confident that they'll do that because they're going to recognize that he doesn't have a lot of the firsthand experience at managing this massive organization like that. But I think the primary purpose that Trump probably wanted was somebody whose vision he shares at the top, and then they can bring in other people to help manage some of those other bureaucratic issues. That's what I would expect to see.
Looking back at secretaries of defense that have been successful and some that have been not so successful, what do you think are the keys to making sure that secretary knows what they're doing and they're able to sort of implement, and obviously at the end of the day it's to protect our country?
Yeah, the most important thing, I think, is, frankly, to be honest and to not just say, hey, everything's rosy if it's not. And we've seen too much example of that over many years. I won't go into the details of those. But if you see that there's a problem here and then it's not popular, then we can't just say, yes, we'll keep going down that path. For example, there's lots of people who want to say we should potentially go to war with China over Taiwan if they invade them. But right now, we don't have the military capacity to do that. And every computer simulation you want to look at for the last half decade or so has validated that. It is time for the Department of Defense to say, okay, I get what the policy we want, but if we don't have the capacity to succeed, then we can't go down that path. And the other issue that's playing really big in the Russia-Ukraine war is if we see our stocks of our national defense going down too low in key areas, then we have to say, hey, we got to do something different. We can't just keep giving this stuff away to everybody else if we're not even going to have enough. And that is going to call for some hard decisions and some hard choices on the policy side.
Lieutenant Colonel Davis, we thank you so much for joining Top Story in such quick notice and for helping us out and understand this new appointment. We appreciate it.